I'd like to welcome everybody and thank you very much for coming out. I tell you how much I appreciate you coming out on such a blustery day. At least it's not zero. What I'd like to do again is for everyone to introduce themselves, with the exception of the fifth third people. With the exception of the fifth third people. And we have some separate introductions. We're going to start right there with Clyde Bud Adams, because he got the poor thing. I don't know how you could miss him, but I missed him last time. He didn't get to introduce himself. So tell us all about it.
I'm Clyde Adams with Emeritus Life Group and Independent Life.
Paul, why don't you take it down? Okay.
Paul Ackridge with Ackridge Farm Supply, Ace Hardware.
Joanne Vogel, Regional Glass, Eddyville. Katie Gibson, Fifth Third Bank, Eddyville. Over Benny, Fifth Third Bank, Eddyville.
Sheila Gates, Farmers Bank. Allison Van Hooser, Farmers Bank.
Right there, Steve.
Sue Huntsman, Herald Ledger newspaper.
Mary Beth Ray, BB&T.
Teresa Adcock, BB&T. Cindy Westerfield, here as an individual.
Okay. And our program today is presented by Fifth Third Bank.
I'm missing one.
Did I miss another one? How do we do that? I started down there. See, I'm bad about it.
Jerry Aldridge with Travel Leaders.
Well, at least you told me. So he just sat there like a knot on the wall.
I know better than raise my hand if I don't do
Yeah,
it.
well, you get to go first next time. Our program today is presented by Fifth Third Bank. We're going to be talking about their Small Biz U. And I'm going to turn the program over now to Gail Helfrich with Fifth Third.
Thank you. And we'll just kick this off by introducing ourselves and telling you all a little bit about what we do. And again, I'm Gail Helfrich, and I'm our Membership Advantage Banking Officer. So I go out to companies and do banking at work. Is what I do every day. And a big part of that is financial education, which toward the end of the program, I'll share with you some of the details about the financial education we offer for the employees of the companies that we work with. And typically in my role for membership banking, we look for companies with 25 or more employees. But the financial education we can do for any employee population base. So with that, I'm going to ask maybe Lilburn and Katie just to say your role with the bank before we get to the guys here today.
I'm the Financial Center Manager here in Eddyville.
And everybody knows Lilburn.
I'm the lead CSR, which is customer service representative at the Eddyville branch. I work behind the line, take care of customers. Also do, some back office operational stuff. So you're going to see me behind the line more than Wilbur. So.
And Paul?
Okay. My name is Paul Oxley, and I'm a business banking relationship manager, which is a long title. And I work with a lot of our business clients, some mid-sized business clients, along with a lot of the farmers. And I've been with the bank for over 17 years, and been working with Wilbur ever since she's been at the bank as far as helping her clients. And so, and I travel from Morganfield to Madisonville down to Eddyville.
And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Derek to introduce himself, and he's going to kick off the program.
Sir, can I get you this? That license up behind you?
This is Joe Gray, by the way.
Yeah.
Lane Man too.
We weren't sure who's going to shut the lights out, so I appreciate you getting here. My name is Derek Etherington. I'm a relationship manager, kind of a counterpart of what Paul Oxley is. I'm actually out of our Owensboro office, but I cover basically Western Kentucky, and then I've got some clients in Southern Indiana, up in Jasper, Ferdinand area as well. So I cover a pretty large geographical area, anywhere within about an hour and a half of Owensboro. I work in our a little bit larger business client segment, focused on companies that have 5 to about 100 million in gross sales. So it's pretty vast range of business clients I work with. I've had other roles within the bank. I was in business banking, working with smaller business clients and stuff prior to my current role. But with Fifth Third Bank, it's one of those things that, we're a larger company, but we also have local representation with, having strategic partners within the markets that we work with. And one of the things that we can do as a larger corporation is we can actually have the resources of a corporate office out of Cincinnati really put together some really neat products and services and solutions to help benefit those communities that we serve. And then that's one of the things we want to talk to you about today, which is our Small Biz U program. So I wanted to start off thanking Farrell really for allowing us this opportunity, and for all of you being here and helping us kind of get this information out to the community so that you guys know what's available, and obviously you'll have the opportunity to take this resource with you today and how it will benefit you and your organization. Before we get started, I wanted to take a quick survey. Is there any UK basketball fans in here? Any U of L fans out there? We got a few.
Did we do that quick or what?
Well, I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a fanatic, so I'm actually excited about Friday. And no matter what happens, if UK wins or if U of L loses, I think it's going to be great for the Commonwealth to have two of our teams represented in the NCAA tournament.
So who do you think Mitch is really for?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen
The
it.
Duke,
Yeah.
the Duke guy?
I was about to say, I think he's for Duke, but they're out of the tournament from what I understand, so that's good for everybody, right? But on a serious note, I think this is great for Commonwealth to have this resource and to be able to come out and talk to you guys about it. I know we have some other banks in the room with us today. And obviously, this is a non-proprietary program, so any business can utilize it. And the way that we see Small Biz U is it's a resource to really empower the entrepreneurs and the companies and the communities that we represent. It's a free online service, and as we go through it, I'm going to kind of start off talking about what it is, kind of how it works, and what the benefits are of it. And then the extension of it is the Empower You, which Gail will talk a little bit about that as well. So if you have questions, feel free to stop me anytime. I'll try to stop as we go through the 4 or 5 different parts of the presentation, just to make sure you don't have questions as we go. But do not feel like you're going to interrupt me if you have a question. Just go ahead and stop me anytime. So starting off, what is Small Biz U? Basically what it is an online portal that you can log into, and you can take different, basically presentations, courses, and there's 3 different primary topics we focus on. There's 20 total courses that you can take, and they're all focused on business entrepreneurs, business owners. And it's kind of nice because a lot of times when you're looking at educational stuff for business, it's going to be more traditional college courses. So you're going to have information in there that's really not for the business and a day-to-day, role. It's not going to be focused on the entrepreneur. It's more just business management in general. These courses are focused on what the entrepreneur is looking at. What questions do they have? How can it impact their business? How is it a real-life situation? The 3 areas that we look at are money, marketing, and management. And when you look at them, I mean, any way you take it, all 3 of them is kind of like a 3-legged stool. You got to have all 3 to really make a business successful. And when you look at it, the 20 different core competencies, I guess, that we look at in those 3 different categories is where these courses came from. They looked at those 3 areas, said what are the different things in these 3 areas that we can focus on, and they developed basically 20 courses that basically cover those topics. The design was basically set up with that idea of saying, okay, an entrepreneur doesn't have time to go step out of his business and go to college, go to a university. A lot of times they're a tradesman. They understand their trade, they understand how to do something. They're a plumber or a pipe fitter, they know that field, they know their job, but they don't know how to work on their business. They can work in it all day long. What this does is this empowers them to start looking at the business differently, rather than just looking at the trade that they're providing, but how can they make that trade successful? How can they compete? How can they grow their business? And that's kind of how this design development was set up. We want to look at it and set it up in a way that they can look at this, it walks them through it, and provides them that business language that they need to understand the business, and then that can allow them to go back and try to reinforce it in their own business. When you look at the three different topics, money is what we kind of consider the key. You can't pay the bills with it. If you're not making money with the business isn't really worth, continuing. So typically, if a business fails, it's not making money. As long as it's making money, that business is going to continue. So that's kind of like the core. Figure out the business aspect of it. And a lot of times, honestly, if you're not a finance major, if you don't work at a banking institution, you're not an accountant, you're not going to understand the business side enough. You may have a tax accountant that does your taxes. And you may look at your balance in your checking account. You may look at things like that, but to really understand the financial aspect of the business is very important, especially when you're trying to grow and trying to succeed in a competitive market. So they looked at that and they started looking at the different things. They didn't want this just to be for, your company that's been in existence and they're looking to expand. So they actually have one section that's on starting a business. So if you have somebody who works for a larger company and they're wanting to go off and start their own business, they can actually log into this site and take a financial tutorial on how do I get money to start my business. But if you're an existing business and you're wanting to get a loan package put together so you can go out and you can actually expand, there's one that covers how to create a loan package. And that's very important, especially in today's competitive financial market, is to make sure that you have a comprehensive loan package when you go to the bank to actually request for a loan. And then it has some other things in there about accounting, and of course, tax seminars and workshops. The 3 things you can't avoid are the taxes, death, and your in-laws. So this will cover the tax part of it. So if you go there, it's going to kind of give you some information, and it links to the IRS as well. So what's nice is that will be updated with the IRS. Every time you go into that tutorial each year, it will actually update it from their site. The next key is the management part of it. Once you kind of understand the financial aspect of it, it's part of managing the business. There's 7 different topics in that area. And then marketing. And marketing is kind of the last piece that we consider, because if you got the management piece, you got the money piece figured out, then that's kind of the growth of the top line. If you grow your business but you're not managing it correctly and you're not understanding the financial aspects of it, it don't matter what your gross sales are if your bottom line is not improving. So we look at that as the third piece. And there are 7 different topics in that area as well, and they're all, again, focused on the small business entrepreneurs. So the approach that we take with Small Biz U is we want this to be basically a low-cost provided service to the communities we present. So there's no cost for somebody to actually log in there. They're not going to have to put in a credit card, they're not going to have to do anything. They'll register by email. And that's just so that when they go log back in, if they've actually bookmarked in the middle of the topic, it's going to take them right back to where they were at before. If they want to have a PowerPoint presentation emailed to themselves, it'll have all that information built in. And it also allows us to kind of track who's utilizing the program and make sure that it's actually being utilized. But as far as cost, it's their time, their effort. That's the only cost with actually using this program. Another thing that's nice about this is when you look at a university, typically a university gets a schedule. You sign up for a class, it's a night class, every Thursday night for 5 days. Well, in your business, you can't know what you're going to do on Thursday night. This is just at your own pace. If you want to sit down and log in and do one course, courses range on average about 3 hours. If you want to sit down and listen to the voiceover and have it go through the slides and take notes and stuff, just like if you're sitting in a classroom setting, it takes about 3 hours. I would say that you're going to have to spend probably double that to kind of really make sure that it makes sense and implement it into your business. So you're looking at like 3 hours of taking the course, 3 hours of actually looking at the information, printing out the handouts, kind of looking over it and thinking, how can I implement this into my company? So you're looking at about 6 hours for each course. So for 12 courses, I mean, you could be looking at 120 hours of time dedicated to work through all these. Now, of course, as a business owner, you may not need to learn about startup if you've been in business for 10 years. But if you're really wanting to grow your business, become more efficient, you're looking at the management piece of it, you can focus on 3 or 4 topics and really pull those out and say, these are the ones I think that are going to benefit me the most. And that's what's nice about this approach versus your traditional educational approach through a university or a community college. So how does it actually work? It's a website, pretty much like any other website that you're going to log into. The website is basically just small, and you can't read it up here on the top, but it's actually www. I guess it's just smallbizu.org/53. It's on the handout that you have in there as well, and it's on the last page. When you log into that site, this is the home page that you'll see. There's 3 different areas. The Small Biz U is the icon here on the left. When you click on that icon, it'll actually take you into the Small Biz U site, and that's where all the educational pieces are at. The other part right here, the pitch and plan, that's actually added to the program, and that's actually where you can go in and develop your own business plan. And then the last one, the Training Academy, is where you can kind of track your progress, and it actually has the test So after you get done going through and you take it and you want to go back and test and make sure that you got all the information from it, it has some tests in there that you can kind of work yourself through to make sure that you've got the competency from the information that was provided, or at least the key content that we're wanting to make sure you pull from it. So the test is just kind of a self-check. We don't, if you fail, we're not going to send you a bad note. So it's just kind of good. But what's nice about this is it's just very user-friendly. It's very clean. When you get there, you just select that link and it takes you right in. So when you select on it, it'll actually bring you to the Small Biz U educational portal. Now the nice thing about this is this was actually developed by a Chamber of Commerce in Indiana. So the Columbus Chamber of Commerce in Columbus, Indiana actually developed Small Biz U. Well, what Fifth Third Bank said is this is such a wonderful program, and we had our Fifth Third representatives in that market helping them with the development of this. We said, let us take this basically throughout our footprint. So we actually signed an open licensing agreement with their chamber to be able to provide this product to the communities that we service. So what's nice about this is this isn't Fifth Third's product. This is actually a Chamber of Commerce that developed it in partnership with Fifth Third, and we're basically just bringing it out to our community saying, listen, here's the resources out there on the website, take advantage of it. So when you log in there, at first you want to go to the system setup the first time, just to make sure that you have the right flash player, that you have everything's updated, all your plugins are going, so that it works. And when you click on that, it'll actually roll through. It takes about usually a minute and a half the first time you log in just for those things to get updated. And then after that, you'll just go to the Find a Course. And when you select on that, it'll bring up the actual course catalog. And it's very user-friendly. On the course catalog, you can see there's 3 tabs at the bottom, Money Marketing Management, and then you'll have a list of the actual courses under each one of those topics. You just simply select whatever course it is that you want to start with, and when you select that, it'll bring up an outline of the course. Then you basically just read through the outline of the course, and it'll tell you basically the objectives of that course, what content's going to be covered in it, a little description of what the course is going to be. And if you actually scroll down, it'll tell you how many slides it is, about the approximate time it will take to take the course, and it'll have a tab at the bottom that says register. When you register, you'll actually log in using your email address and the password that you set up, and then the course will actually open. Now you can see here at the bottom, it actually has like a little scroll with the play and the pause button. What'll happen is when you first come up, it'll start playing. It'll say, welcome to Small Biz U, and this guy will start talking to you. And it'll actually go through all the different slides, and each slide it will sit there and he'll basically kind of be like you're a professor sitting there talking to you, and it'll go through the 10 different steps of each course. And what's nice about it is if you go to the top, up here where it says tools and resources, on each one of the courses, when you click on that, it's going to pull down a little window. And when that window pops down, you can see here where it says test and quizzes, PowerPoint, crash course, knowledge base, and tools. This is where you can print your handouts. This is where you can print the PowerPoint presentation. So if you like the PowerPoint presentation like what I printed out of this, you can actually have that printed out and you can sit there and take notes. So as they're talking, it's just like being on an online course. You have this professor talking to you, and it's going through the transitions of the slides, and you're kind of taking notes, and you have that kind of reference point. So it's very much like being in a normal classroom, which is very nice because you still get the same kind of educational value you would through an online course, but it's free, and it's at your own pace, and it's at your own time. So kind of going back to the page, that's kind of the Small Biz U site. So I kind of want to just stop real quickly and make sure that if you have any questions, we can kind of cover what we've gone through so far. I know it's pretty fast, but I know we're on a kind of time constraint, so I want to make sure that I give you guys at least an overview so that you guys can have questions later. You can always reach back out to us.
So it's open to everyone, not just Fifth Third customers?
That's correct. It's non-proprietary. So if you got an email address, you can actually log into it. And we won't track our business competition. So if we see another bank on there, we won't delete you.
I'm just wondering if we can white out the bit part.
No, I don't know if that's possible. But no, it's one of those things where that's what's nice about it, is it's non-proprietary. We're really looking to try to enhance the communities. Because the stronger our business prospects are, the easier it is for us to do business with them. So when we're out there and we're prospecting, we're talking to business owners, we're talking to entrepreneurs, if they're planning an expansion, we want them to go in here and look at how do I create a loan package. You know, am I in a financial position right now to actually borrow money and grow? Have I looked at my company from a management perspective so that I can actually put together a comprehensive business plan? When I sit down with a banker and he starts asking me these questions, I'll be ready to answer them. And it makes it much easier. Community bank or a large regional bank, you know, it's going to be the same process. And this is just going to help prepare them for that and get them ready for that next step.
Well, I agree with you. A lot of them know their business, they can do their heating and air, their cooling, whatever, but they cannot manage their finances. And they really need help. I mean, I don't know where these have come from. This should be great, but you see this all over. I know it's in small community, that's just part of it.
And I live in Owensboro, Kentucky, which, you know, I think is a small community compared to some that I've lived in. But, and with all the resources we have there, we have entrepreneurs who've been in business for 25 years and they don't understand a balance sheet. You know, they have no idea. My CPA does it. Have you looked at your balance sheet? Are you growing your balance sheet? What do you need? And it's like, that's the challenge that you face, especially as an entrepreneur in today's market, in today's economy. If you don't understand the financials of your business, it's very hard to compete. From a pricing perspective, from a growth perspective, from a, you know, wanting to get a loan request. You know, it's become very competitive. It's not, the gentleman's agreements of the past are going away. Just because of regulation and the way that banks are being required to actually make sure that we're doing our due diligence when we're working with these business clients. And a lot of times they're not accustomed to it, if they've been in business that long, to go back and actually understand that part of their company. And they don't have time to go back to college and learn it. And a lot of times this isn't going to maybe answer all the questions, but what this will do is it'll get them thinking, it'll walk them through the process, it'll get them started, it'll give them the information that they need. And then they can reach out to their bank partner in the business that they're and talk to them about their business one-on-one, and they can get more information and more questions. And of course, with that fifth third logo that you can't delete on there, we're hoping that they see that and they say, well, I'm going to call them and ask them questions about this. And then we can have that opportunity to be that business partner for them. So that's kind of our underlying motive. But ultimately, it's really just, it's a way for us to give back to the communities we serve. So is there any other questions kind of about the Small Biz U in general? I must be doing great. All right, now we're going to move to the pitching plan. This is my favorite part of the online portal. This is actually Fifth Third Bank forming this. This isn't, we added this to what basically the Columbus Chamber had started. Because what we think is probably the key to it all is how do you pull it all together, and that's a business plan. And most companies, you know, if you don't know what a business plan is, you're like 95% of most entrepreneurs and business owners out there. They don't have a true business plan. So what this does is this link actually takes you to our pitching plan. And basically this teaches you how to pitch your business to banks, buyers, investors. It teaches you how to set up and pitch your business. What is your business? What do you do? What is your product? How do you differentiate yourself? Those are the things that are key to being successful as a business owner. And then the plan is like, okay, am I pitching the right thing? Is my price right? Am I in the right market? Am I competitively advantaged? Or am I disadvantaged because of either pricing or the product type that I have? Is my marketing right? You know, there's several questions that this thing's going to help you work through. So when you log in, it's a 5-step process. It can be cumbersome, but what's nice about this is when you can log in and out, and you can work on this, and that business plan is constantly changing. And we say that most people should update their business plan once a year. So tax season comes around, sit down, kind of work through your business plan, make sure things haven't changed. It's going to ask you questions about your competition. It's going to ask you questions about your product or your service that you're providing. And it's going to allow you to kind of start thinking through all those things that you need to be updated. When you get done, it's actually going to have a comprehensive business plan, and that's what it looks like. Top line is the pitch. And if you look down on the printouts that you have, you can see what the pitch is. And the pitch is kind of where you frame the idea of your business. So if you're starting or is in business, this is where you know, why am I in business? What is it that I'm doing? Why am I different? Why am I important? You know, what is it that I'm selling? Because if you're not important, you're not relevant, you're not competitive, you're not going to work. So that's what the pitch is for. And this allows you to learn that about yourself and your business so that you can communicate that to your clients, to your business partners, to the investors, to the bankers, to all those people that are helping your business thrive. The plan, this is where you do your homework. So once you get that broad spectrum, this is what I'm going to do, this is why this business is going to work, and this is why, in my mind, I would be extremely successful. So now you got to do your homework, and that's where you start learning about the industry that you're in, the product, how you're going to market it, who your competition is, what's my pricing going to be, what's my cost going to be. So this is the important line, the plan. So once you get that plan done, then that's going to allow you to be successful. And then ultimately the numbers, that's where it all comes together. This is where you set your price, this is where you determine your cost, this is where you make sure, okay, it's going to work financially, and then you ultimately are going to end up with your financial projections. So you can project out and say, okay, based off everything and all the research I've done, I know over the next 12 months that I should be able to reach this much in sales at this much profit, which means that I should be able to make this business work financially, or this new department in my division, or new division of the business, or growth, wherever it might be. We'll defer that till later, because otherwise we'll be here for about an hour. Okay. So that is the pitch and plan section. Anybody have any questions about that part of it? I can't go into great detail because we could spend days talking about this part right here. And this is, as a relationship manager for Fifth Third Bank, this is what my primary job is. My primary job is to sit down with my business prospects and my business customers and talk to them about these three things. I'm asking them questions all the time. What are you doing to make sure that this is constantly working for you and your business? And that's how we become an added value partner and a relationship manager for our business clients. We say, okay, he's worried about his business. He's worried about his day-to-day operations. I need to worry about this for him. But as a single member, LLC, you're everything. So this needs to be part of that thought process as they're making their plans and stuff. So that's why it's important. The last section is the money training. And this is just a real quick screenshot of what it is. Basically, when you get in there, it's going to have a list of all the different topics that we feel are the key topics that every business should actually look at. And it has a link to take the test. And so you can go in there and you click on it as you finish those different courses. And it'll take track of the ones that you've passed, and I'll have a date over here. So it can kind of give you some goals to kind of go through and keep track of what you've done and completed. So what can I do for your organization? I think for every organization it can be different. But kind of what we talked about at the beginning is that idea that the entrepreneur, there's a gentleman by the name of Michael Gerber who is a management consultant. He writes books and makes much money off these books, and he's a professor. And he has this book called The E-Myth, and if you haven't read it, I recommend anybody who has anything to do with business to read this book. It's, in my opinion, the best management training book out there. But one of the quotes he had in there, he goes, "Therein lies the fallacy. A technician assumes because they know the trade or craft that they know how to run a business that does that technical work." Basically, a plumber knows plumbing. So because of that, he thinks, well, I don't like this guy I'm working for. He's not paying me enough because I'm only getting $22 an hour and he's starting $50. I'm going to go do this myself. I'm going to make $50 an hour. But the idea is that he's got to run that business now. And he's got to understand that he's not going to make $50 an hour because there's cost to doing business. So that's kind of that challenge that entrepreneurs face, because a lot of times they don't take that into consideration before they try to break out and do whatever it is that they're trying to do. But as Peter Drucker, who's another very well-known management advisor, he said, entrepreneurship is not magic, it's not mysterious, and it has nothing to do with genes. It's a discipline. And like a discipline, it can be learned and improved over time. So what we've done is we've basically taken these two ideas. You have these entrepreneurs that have this passion and skill, and they need to learn how to make it a business. So that's what we think Small Biz U does, and that's how it works, and that's how it can help your organization and any organization you work with, as it can kind of reinforce how to work on your business versus just in your business. And that's what's going to be the key to success. And through partnerships, and the way that Fifth Third has kind of looked at Small Biz U and how we want this to work is we want to be able to have it be in partnership with, the chamber here. We work with the EDC in Owensboro, Kentucky. I work closely with Green River Area District Development, which I know Brad, I think, actually covers some of the counties in your guys' footprint. Audubon Area Community Services, they have a huge footprint that works in the Western Kentucky area as well. So organizations like that have a built-in audience. They work with the business community, they work in economic development and expansion. We partner with them to let them know, just like we are here today, here's the resource. just let people know about it, let them know how to access it. And if they have questions, obviously, we'd be more than happy to talk to them about that as well. So the next piece is now we've kind of talked about the entrepreneurship. And we've really focused on, okay, what is this for the entrepreneurs? But one other aspect of strong business health is a strong employee base. And the stronger your employee base is, the better off that your business is going to be as well and better performing it's going to be. So we've done it even one step further, and we have Empower You, which I'm going to have Gail come up and talk about. It is more focused on the financial literacy piece for not only the business owner, but also for the employees as well.
Thanks, Derek. Okay, Derek gave a good intro there of what Empower You is. I don't think it's really an accident that we're talking Small Biz U and Empower You, because it's all about educating the different groups of people. Empower You is something that has kind of evolved at Fifth Third over a period of time, and it's because our strong feelings that there are so many stresses in everybody's life today, and a lot of times one of those stresses is financial stress at home, and financial stress either can cause family stress, or family stress causes financial stress. You don't really know how all of those things are intertwined, but we have found that reaching out to the employees of our customers, the business owners, that we can help make them not only better bank customers, but to those business owners, we can make them better employees, because if they are focused at work, on work, then they're more productive. Probably even more importantly, in some businesses, recently I was in a coal mine. Recently I was at an ambulance service. And I sure want those folks to be focused on what they're doing when they're doing it for their safety and for our well-being if we're being treated by somebody who's on the ambulance service. So if we can take some of those stresses away from people's lives, then we can help the individuals again, and we can also help the business owners. I've got a slide here about budgeting and savings, and I just showed that to kind of show the look of the courses that we do. And budgeting and saving is the #1 request from the companies that I work with. So I can do that one practically in my sleep, because I do that a lot. And Derek and Paul both talked about the geographic territory that they cover. My geographic territory is pretty big. I cover Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, and Southeastern Indiana. So I am on the road a lot, and it's a lot of fun to be out seeing what's going on in these companies and sharing some knowledge. I learn a lot from the people in those classes that I can take back and share going forward. I recently did the budgeting class in Madisonville, and it was one of the best experiences I've had during doing this class, because there was a young lady there that worked in a hotel who was very concerned that she was not doing a good job on her budgeting. So after the class, we sat down for a few minutes, and I questioned her about some different things that I wouldn't have asked in the class, because I didn't want to embarrass anybody. But almost every concept that we talked about in the class, she gave me an example of what she was doing. And I'm like, girl, you're doing everything right. But one of the things that she shared was the fact that her husband had been married before, gone through a divorce. The wife got the car in the divorce, and the bankers in the room are going to know what the next part of the story is. The wife was supposed to make the payments, but didn't, and they hadn't refinanced it, so the husband was still on the loan. Car gets repossessed, but he ends up having to make the payments. The payments were $288 a month, and the young lady said that they had paid that $288 a month. They rarely went out to eat and things like that, because they were just really strapped because of this. And she said, we just got our tax refund back, and we finished paying that off. So now I've got $288 extra a month. And I'm like, that's great, what are you gonna do with it? And that's the point where she hadn't really thought of, she just thought, I've got this extra money, but what am I gonna do with it? And through the course of that, I found out her husband had a 401k, but she wasn't contributing to any retirement for herself. And I said, why don't you take a little bit of this $288 and start setting some money aside for your retirement? Because we know through this course and through the things that we do, that people who save just a small amount of money on a regular basis save more money than people who don't have a regular cycle of saving through payroll deduction or automatic transfer at their bank. And she thought that was a good idea. And I said, I'd really like to see you go out to eat at least once a month. I think you and your husband deserve that. You work hard, and you need to reward yourselves for that. And so that was a good idea. And I said, let's talk about the rest of your debt. And you would think someone that was that concerned would probably have a list of debts this long. But they had their home loan, and they had a home improvement loan where they put new windows in their house. And she knew exactly how much those new windows were saving her on her monthly utility bills. So I'm like, you are a dream come true, knowing all of this stuff. And I said, okay, you've got this $288, you're going to put some in your retirement, you're going to treat yourself a little bit. Why don't you do the same thing on this home improvement loan, because I'm sure you're paying a much higher interest rate on that than you are on the home loan, and get that loan paid ahead or paid off. How much is the payment on that? She told me by the time she got that loan paid off with the $288 a month from the car loan and that home improvement loan, she was going to have $400 extra a month in her budget. And the light bulb came on with her that she'd done everything right except figure out a plan for what she was going to do with that extra money. And I think she's going to do a fantastic job with it. I know everybody that's in the classes that I do don't go away with that kind of plan, but she did, and it was very rewarding for me. So that's just kind of a story of how this can really be a success for the employees of the companies that we deal with. And this is really a grid that shows the entire Empower You course material. And each person that goes through a class gets an empowerment plan, a written empowerment plan that they take away. We don't look at it, it's personal for them, on things that they want to start doing, things that they want to reinforce, how they can bring their family members into, especially with the budgeting process and things like that. This is really designed to be used two different ways. It can be used as a whole series of courses, starting at the beginning with the financial checkup and going through the financial health courses, investment and planning, and then home ownership and educational savings. And some companies do that. But it's also designed that you can pick and choose the courses that are meaningful to your employees, and you can do it in whatever order makes sense. If you have a very young employee population, then maybe the budgeting and savings, preparing to be homeowners, and things like that make a lot of sense. But if you have a more aging population, a lot of times those companies want to go directly to the investment and planning stages. So it can be very, very flexible. Each class lasts about 30 minutes, so it's not really time consuming from the standpoint of the business owners, as Derek presented. Some of those courses are a couple of hours or up to 4 hours long. Those folks are going to make a bigger time commitment. But the good thing about this is the short classes, they can be done before and after shift or through a lunch and learn like this. And as I said, I travel around and do this in a lot of different companies. And my challenge is not only getting everywhere I need to be, but I've done presentations. I mentioned the coal mine and the ambulance service. I guess the one that challenged me the most was in the turkey processing plant. And I'm a country girl, and I know what it's like to raise your own food and meat and things like that. But just knowing what was on the other side of that wall was a little daunting for me. So I don't know if I'm in a business suit when I go out. I dress to meet the public that I'm going to be with. So that was really an experience for me. But I've already covered a lot of these things, but it's impactful information that are not just for financially disadvantaged folks. Some of the courses, even the budgeting and savings, folks that are doing a good job will figure out some things that they can do better or pass on to their teenagers. I get a lot of questions about that. Young folks just going into college, things like that. One of the courses is protecting your identity, and we all know that we're all impacted by that today, by all of the fraud and things that happen. And again, each class participant will walk away with that empowerment plan, and in some cases, the employees start really looking forward to this, and they'll go to all of them because they feel like they're really improving their situation. And with that, we'll open it up to questions, and then I'll turn it over to Derek to kind of close us out.
So has anybody got any questions? Everybody?
Empower You, you actually come to business groups class, is that correct?
Yes. And unlike the Small Business U, Empower You is Fifth Third proprietary information, so someone from the bank has to present that. I do a lot of the classes myself because I've got a lot of background in adult education through training at the bank. But some of the courses require someone with a license, the investment courses and things like that, to be there to answer questions, just so we're meeting the obligations of some of the regulations that we have to abide by. But yes, it is an in-workplace. I have a couple of companies that don't really have a place that they can bring people together. So we have brought them to a conference room in our branch. But I have another company that wasn't having any kind of employee meetings or anything, and they got a new manager in a factory and decided that they wanted to start having regular monthly meetings, and I was able to go in and do a course for them when they had some special needs. And it was kind of interesting because they didn't have any place to do a PowerPoint, and the guy painted one of their overhead doors in the warehouse white, and we projected onto the overhead doors. So it doesn't have to be anything formal in any way at all. That's part of my job, to figure out how to make it work in the client's company and make it comfortable for them and for their employees.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions?
Well, it's a very good course. I sat through it the other day, and all of you bankers know that all of these people need help. I'm sorry. 95% of them need help.
Including some of us bankers.
That's right.
Because I sat through the budgeting, the savings and budgeting presentation, and I have a pretty strict written out budget, and there was quite a bit of stuff in that I was like, okay, well, I should have thought that. But it's really good knowledge no matter what, kind of business you're in.
I think financial literacy is important for everybody. It's one of those things. I think the better we understand our finances, the less mistakes that we make put us in situations where it becomes stressful. It doesn't matter. Like Gail said, the most affluent people can get themselves in line pretty quickly if they don't have a budget, if they're not looking at their finances and they're not managing it correctly. Of course, if you're more affluent, you can just stop going out on the weekends and taking vacations and pay it off. If you're less affluent, it's much more difficult to dig yourself out of a hole. And that's where we think that these courses will help. If we can just educate people on the process and make sure that they make it part of their routine, it's going to alleviate a lot of stress in their life. Small Biz U contact information, Paul Loxley, he's a great resource. It's in Morganfield. Of course, he works for branch staff here, so you can reach out to the branch as well and have their contact information, but obviously you know where we're located at. Gail, she does the Empower You and our membership advantage banking services. And then of course, I'm in Owensboro, and I'd be more than happy. I'm down here all the time. I've got customers in Eddyville and over in Robars and down in Clarksville, Tennessee. So I'm in this area a lot, passing through, meeting with clients, and I'd be more than happy to answer emails or calls or anything like that. So my contact information is on there as well. And as we leave, I just want to thank everybody for giving us this wonderful opportunity. If you have questions, comments, concerns, would like us to come back and actually do one of the courses for your group. You know, what we can do is have you guys go on to the online course, come back in, convene, and we can actually just do like a quick overview of the course and do a Q&A. We've done that. That's what we do with economic development. We have an incubator. It's our Center for Economic Development, and we bring those guys in who are like doing startups, and we talk to them about patenting ideas. We talk to them about doing loan packaging, putting together a business plan. They'll take a course. We come in. We do an hour luncheon. It gives them an opportunity to ask questions about what they didn't understand or what they did understand, making sure that they take that information and apply it to their business and their model correctly. And just as we leave, just remember, when you think of Small Biz U, it is a university, but our cheerleaders are lousy, our football team sucks, our frat parties are lame, but when it comes to knowing how to grow and succeed in your business, we rock. So keep us in mind. Thank you all very much.